Are you ready to get casual? Grab your favorite adult beverage or combustible plant and join us for our roundtable TTRPG discussion. Oh yeah, it's time for Casual Friday. And now, here are your hosts.
What's up, everybody? We are back. It's been a while. We were catching up and almost missed the go live moment because it's been a minute. But wow, this was a heck of an episode to come back on. I am pumped. How did you find Critical Role Campaign 4 Episode 10 Blood for Blood?
Yeah, C4 E10, Ryan, it's been out for a couple of weeks now. And from what I understand, they're not coming back with a new episode until next week. I believe I got an email just before showtime. Said the next episode is January 15th, and it's going to be another Soldiers episode. They're still sticking with the Soldiers. This episode was. I don't think our recap might not take all that long because it was battle map. Aside from the cold open, it was battle map beginning to end. But I guess we could talk about the cold open first.
Yeah, let's talk about the cold open, and then we'll get into the 4-hour combat, which was. I have some feelings. I have some like the fact that I watched a 4-hour combat and was like, this is good, and I'm not bored yet. Is a bit of an artistic achievement. But yeah, cold open as we do. We are back with the schemers. They are convening at the Seven Stars. They got a little private room in this taverny place in the city. But first we see them all in their divergent workplaces. And I gotta say, the workplace dramas hit a different part of my psyche than the battles to the death. Azune walking out of the seeing the Sons of Dawn and totally biffing a roll to figure out what those guys really are. But it seems that Wikander's family, or the Candescent Creed, as a religious organization, I'm not sure exactly how distinct those two bodies are. It seems like they're pretty much one and the same. But there's a mercenary company that's hiring a bunch of the guard that were A, laid off, or B, resigned in protest or fear or seeing the writing on the wall or what.
Yeah, they're standing outside the unemployment office picking up everyone who comes by.
So yeah, an army of disgruntled, unemployed people. What could possibly go wrong there? I feel like that's the first and not the last we're going to hear about the Sons of Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand. Like, I understand that I cannot understand the implications of what is going on in the museum. Lady Cormillet is requesting to see the pariah blade.
The blade of Shay Claw.
Shay Claw, who's Abria's character's ancestor, these orc smiths who made cold iron blades that at least killed the god of war and showed that it was possible to kill a god and create the world that we're in right now in this moment. At least 80 years ago, that was the precedent. Cormillet, who's one of these noble houses, these sundered houses, we haven't heard too much about other than she's here to see the blade and wants it more prominently displayed and in a very specific place, the Celadine wing, which is a thing I don't know. Did we hear anything about like Celadine? Does that mean anything to me?
I don't know if we've heard that name before. The scene was kind of a bit confusing because we know so little about Bolaire and his secret archives, but what I interpreted it to mean was that the houses know that Bolaire has things down there that are secret, and they're making a play for it. That was the way I took it to mean, like, the houses are making a play for power within the museum because they know there's stuff down there in those catacombs that are very powerful things that probably only Bolaire actually knows what's really down there. But I don't fully know because we don't have a whole lot of it, and it's been vague, and it's been kind of hard to pay attention to some of those parts because
Yeah.
Taliesin's playing it so close to the chest. I think.
I think that's a big part of it, honestly, is that he's not one. I mean, we got the big reveal of what his character is, and I'm glad we got that off the table. And that kind of made me sigh in relief that we're not getting an edgelord prolonged tale out of Taliesin. But um, pretty much in any story, in any medium where it's like, this is foreshadowing now. It's like, well, if it doesn't pay off real soon, I'm going to forget about it. So you better make it real good. It's got to be interesting on the face of it. Um, so we'll see if and when we ever get back to Schemers. The whole idea of like the museum in a world where there is magic is such an interesting conceit. Like there's got to be powerful, dangerous, cool stuff. I mean, the most interesting thing that stuck out to me, and I don't know if it was part of his backstory or improv or Blair, the character, was lying, but apparently one of the docents, whatever, one of the museum staff lost their hands to a thing that turned out to be a teleporter, and now she's got invisible other hands,
Hmm.
which were also an artifact in the museum until she had need for them. So I feel like we could do a whole campaign in there where there's going to be a heist, right? If you give me a museum full of treasures, someone's breaking in there eventually, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And as this as Zenmain Spy says, the Cormorlays are taking over the Loy territory with their own wing to have great relics in it. Yeah, there's definitely something going on, a power play at the museum that's not quite clear. Um, then in the Museum of this World weapon silo.
Yeah, yeah.
In the next scene, Marisha, aka Murray, is with Dean Cora.
Hmm.
And this part was interesting because I felt like so the dean says, you know, hey, I know everything's changing but actually you should stay on because we need some continuity.
Hmm.
But just you got to behave. And there was a moment there where it seemed like Marisha was genuinely unsure to be like, do I quit my job or do I stay? It was like you could tell she was like, what would Murray do? Quit? Would she quit in a
Hmm.
huff and walk out? Or
Mm.
would she try to stay? And that was very interesting to see because you knew Marisha had to decide right then. And I
And
believe she decided to stay, right? Or did she not? Or did she give an answer?
she tried to have it both ways, as D&D players are wont to do. But this is the moment I was talking about when I'm like, this hits a different psychological button in me. The whole like tense office politics. There's been a change of power, and like you're pushing back, trying to assert some sort of, I don't know, identity, and the I tell you what your job is now. Like that's what's different. That, and again, it's Brendan Lee Mulligan behind it, who is a phenomenal emotional actor. But like that part was like, oh, your job sucks now. Also, you have a day job in D&D, and like that's so interesting to me as well. Um, and then, I mean, skipping ahead a tiny bit, she gets to the bar and immediately starts crying. The tough holler witch facade finally crumbles later when she gets to her friends. So she's not super happy about what's going on, even though she's putting on a tough front.
Have you ever done a day job campaign or
No,
like an
never even
Acquisitions
considered
Inc.
it.
kind of?
I've had plenty of groups like start a business, right?
Right.
They'll like buy the tavern or whatever. But as far as like the minutia of staffing the place and like HR issues and like, I haven't gotten to the granular. They've never not been in charge. I
Mm,
think that's what it is. I haven't had D&D player characters who had a boss. They took quests for somebody,
hmm.
but they were always in their own mind, at least, in the power position. I mean, I know there are games like built around this precept, but
Yeah. Well, I had a group that I used to run for quite a bit a few years ago, and they exclusively wanted a boss.
mm,
They were like, we don't want sandbox open world go find our own way. We want to have a guy who sends us out on missions. That's what they wanted.
They wanted like a Charlie's Angels,
Yeah, that's exactly what
whatever
they
that guy's name
wanted.
was. Boswell?
Charlie.
Oh,
No, wasn't he Charlie?
He was Charlie. Boswell, so yeah.
Boswell's Magnum PI, maybe? I don't know.
We're getting the rust out. It's been a minute, guys.
Hit us in the
I've
comments,
seen Charlie
80s TV fanatics. 70s and 80s TV people. Hit us hit us in the comments.
No, I think Charlie's on the speaker. I think you hear from Charlie, and then his like manservant is the because like Charlie's on a yacht somewhere, and then somebody else comes out with like a silver tray with like guns on it or some shit. It's been a long time.
Wasn't it Charlie's Angels though? Charlie was there, but they wouldn't show his face. It'd be like they'd show the back of a fancy leather chair in an office, and
like
you
Dr.
see
Claw.
like a hand with a cigarette. Probably, maybe was that Charlie's
mhm.
Angels? I don't know. I'm getting confused.
Let's just change this is now 80s talk. No, back to
Charlie
Boswell
was,
Wesley says thank you.
Charlie
All
was
right.
the voice in the phone. Boswell was the in-person assistant.
No lie, you closed the loop in my head that would be running for the next 2 hours until I got to Google that. So thank you.
Thank you. I don't remember what we were talking about before this. Oh, we were talking about
cold
workplace
open.
dramas.
Workplace. Oh yes, I respect that honestly because I love to run a sandbox. I try to recruit people into sandbox play, and then sometimes those players realize they've had a long day of work and would rather not make quite as many choices as I am presenting them with.
Right. What I was going to say before we got off on that tangent was that I have never run AC Inc., which would be it's right up my alley. So it seems like the kind of thing I would enjoy, but I've never done it that way. But that group, it annoyed me at first that they didn't want to like write in-depth backstories and then go out and sandbox their way to their own adventure. But once I accepted it, I was like, actually, this makes things pretty easy for me because I can just be like, this is what the boss wants you to go do. You know, you just have to figure out how to do it. And they're like, copy that. And then they would go out and do stuff.
And that's beautiful. And how I think is how a lot of tables are running. I think there's like that Lord of the Rings Matt Kova video from 10 years ago made everybody hold sandbox in, or let's say open world in sandbox. Whatever. That's a 2-hour episode. Let's get back. Let's get back to Charlie's Angels.
You see that the comments are flying fast and furious now that we started talking about 70s TV shows.
Way more interesting than Critical Role. Hal,
So Mannix,
who is a person on the show. Hal and his daughter Shadia,
Shadia.
go walk off from where the theater in the round that used to be the ceremonial place where you met with the gods, that's now a theater. They walk off a little bit towards where the grave is being dug for Thiazi. And his daughter asks him why he's wearing Thiazi's sword, the Liar's Blade. And he tells her a half-truth, which was perfectly fitting, and Brennan did not let that slide by. So that was a good moment for our sad boy family man. And he's like, maybe go live with your sister for a while because she needs some help. Also, like, maybe don't. Daddy's got some stuff to do. Maybe don't be a liability.
Yeah. Yeah, Hal is still in sad boy mode, as Liam's characters are wont to do. Especially at the beginnings of campaigns, his characters are much wont to be in sad boy mode. Then the cold open ends with everyone gathering at the Seven Stars Tavern, which felt like setting us up for the next episode to return to this cast, which is why I was surprised to find out that the soldiers are going to be back next week for episode 11. Like, it feels like we're setting up to flow right into it, but then we keep coming back. I don't know.
That felt like the end of the beginning of these schemer snippets. They've come together in a place full of birds. Surprise, surprise. They're like in a room behind the aviary. The bird count I gave up on very quickly because I think it was Cormorant. I was like, Cormorant's almost a bird name. All right, I'm not going to do the bit anymore. But always birds with this guy. And then we get the commercials, which I skip. I'm sorry. And we get back to the soldiers in the dungeon beneath Castle Delani in Gormalay, which is part of the Timony Empire. Candlemas is happening outside. The king has just converted to the religion, which historically is typically a big momentous occasion. I'm sorry, not the king, the duke or the lord, not
The Earl
the
of
earl,
Gormalay.
the noble person who's in charge of this part of the whatever kingdom, has just converted, perhaps in hopes that his dead wife's coming back. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure how that's gonna play out. And we are in initiative essentially. We cut with Tyranny as Octus making eye contact with a basilisk. Jim's gone. That basilisk was
Sorry, I'm back.
petrifying her, so we thought. She, in fact, did make her save, but Brennan didn't say that part and left it at a cliffhanger because he knows his business.
Yeah. Oh, first, this is interesting. The premiere on the theater will coincide with the arrival of King Gus. Is it for him? Maybe we definitely didn't hear the name King Gus until the soldiers went up north. I'm fairly positive we never heard the name King Gus during the overture. So if the premiere of the theater is for King Gus, Liam doesn't know that.
I mean, maybe it's a really big deal for the city, right? Like we know it's a big deal for Liam and for like the culture, but there's so much other politicking going on. Like this actually might be, considering what it used to be, they've reclaimed this piece of land from the gods and made I don't know, opera house is always like a big achievement for a society. Like maybe there's a bunch of foreign dignitaries on the way, and we have only seen King Gus because we've literally crossed paths with him as he was coming south. That's interesting, though. We're also getting to the point now where time is getting all Jeremy Bearimy on us because the soldiers have been gone for a week, and in the cold open, he's like, Thiazi died 2 days ago, and like went through all this stuff. So now the times lines are getting a little stretched, which is always like the hardest part. That's why Gary Gygax told you to make a calendar because he had a bunch of different people, bunch of different tables going. And if you don't do it, speaking from experience, oh boy, do you have a lot of problems to figure out in the back ends.
King Gus was part of the Falconers Rebellion.
He was sympathetic to. He was sympathetic to. He wasn't. It seems like the Falconer. We don't have all of the details. It seems like the Falconers Rebellion mostly happened elsewhere, but King Gus was sympathetic to the Falconers Rebellion and therefore has earned the ire of the Sundered Houses, which is maybe part of the reason the Whisper campaign against him is going on right now.
So he would become a knowledge. I see what you're saying, that you're saying Hal would know about him. Yeah, totally. Yeah, but we didn't get any reveal from Hal's character that King Gus was coming to the theater.
Yeah, we're in this weird, again, just from the artistic, like, entertainment product side of all of this. It is very interesting. I assumed we would get half an episode of each table, kind of like sporadically. It looks like we got 7 episodes of the soldiers now. If the next one is soldiers, like we're getting a season from one table and a season from another, like a mini campaign arc, it seems.
Yeah.
Which is maybe the better way to do it. I've never done a thing like this. I don't know. I'm not sure anyone has. So I don't know what the best way to do it is. Definitely have opinions, but they're unfounded. They're just takes.
I don't know. I wonder if they're currently rolling with like X days of game time and then they switch tables. But that could be I don't know. I mean, these people are employees of the company. They have contracts, they have a certain number of episodes they're going to appear in. So it's, I don't know. It's the opinion of this show that we're incredibly curious about how the filming schedule works at Critical Role. We've discussed it many times.
And I think it becomes evident in this episode that there is an organic nature to playing D&D where like you don't exactly have control over when things start and stop. They don't take a break in this episode. This is a super long episode, and the table doesn't stop. Usually they do a little intermission, pee, crack jokes, maybe make plans, get some food in them. That doesn't happen. And the episode ends abruptly. We don't get a cool down because it seems they keep playing. What's up, Nacho? So this seems like an Uber session because it was one grand combat. That they broke up in post.
Yeah, they had to insert the break in post. Back to the combat. Thimble Fairy fires a big group of enemies because there's a long chamber. There's a bigger chamber and a very skinny tunnel. And everyone very quickly gets lined up, bottlenecked in the tunnel. Tyranny fails to save versus command. Cadigan does this bolt thing again with Wolfric, and I still don't understand what's happening.
We learned that he would have blinded. I don't know if he's got multiple kinds of bullets in that gun. We know they come out one at a time, and he said it was like, I want to say Sunbolt. And it would have blinded the Basilisk, which is an interesting. That would have been great. But most of the table couldn't roll above a 10 for most of these 4 hours. It was a very one-sided combat.
Yeah. Brennan allows Robbie to do some shenanigans to make Wolfric protect Wick to give him a +2 AC. Soldiers attack, and we can hear deep down there's still Brennan's got, for the first basically half the session, he had cardboard over about half the map. We couldn't see it. But deep in that cardboard area, we hear, ready to the cart. Nobody knows what's going on there. Brennan is very, very good at that sort of vague off-screen dialogue, or that like ominous dialogue of like, wait, what are they talking about? You get little hints of keywords here and there, but not quite actionable. Taylor guiding bolts and misses because he can't get through he can't get to the bad guys. Wick tries to chat up Wolfric. It doesn't work. He gets pulled into combat and he dashes in, and then as soon as he said that, he goes, oh crap, we're all lined up, of course. Then the Basilisk. There's a big deep thump.
They have haptics. They've got like the rumble pack from N64 in the table.
Who's their schedule's not there, so busy now they're working during holidays they normally take. Yeah, this is interesting. I would like specifics. I want to know who's filming when.
Because another thing which we don't know, and maybe isn't our business, but because it's Critical Role, I feel like the right to have insight into all of the production side of it. Like, this could have been recorded 4 months ago. Like, we don't know. It feels like, oh, they just did this in December, but like, no, I watched it in December. I watched it in January, but like, this could have been recorded in August for all we know. Like, I don't know how many they loaded up before they started releasing them.
We don't know. That's true. Everyone has to do a con save versus the Basilisk. Thimble restrained, falls to the ground. She's starting to petrify. She gets one more save. It's her turn, and Brennan says that she can give herself the help action on her turn, which I don't think that's a thing, but sure, whatever.
It's not a thing. It's not a thing in 2014 or 2024. And like, I see why he did it, because getting petrified is bad. And like, mechanically, it's okay. You can give up your action to try to make this save better. It feels over generous to me in a game that is super generous. So I don't like it. I would not do it at my table, but I was like, oh, is that a thing you can do? And as far as I know, rules is written. The people who wrote that rules are in that building. So okay, I can defer to that a little bit, but nah, you can't help yourself make a save. Explain to me how you're doing that, and maybe you can get a +2, but no.
Yeah, I don't know how that works or why they allowed that. Nacho, they're back next week, and as far as I know, Emily Axford is pretty busy with NADPOD and Dimension 20. she's not in the new Gladlands thing that premiered yesterday. Did you see that? You see any of that, Ryan? Gladlands?
I did not. I am backed up on Dimension 20. My
I
entertainment
watched.
docket is pretty full these days.
Yeah, I hear you. I got watched about 30 minutes of it. It's kind of a fun hook. It's a post-apocalyptic world, but instead of warring factions, everyone decided to get along. So
Hmm.
it's like it's a post-apocalypse, but everyone's pretty positive and they work together. And the
Cozy Core
opening
Apocalypse.
opening thing was like a skill challenge where they have to deliver these thank you notes before a sandstorm overcomes their ship. Um, they're delivering thank you notes for people who donated blood in a blood drive. So it's like this like weird kind of positive post-apocalypse. I haven't seen very much of it. Yeah, she's
That's
not in
actually
Gladlands.
really that's really interesting to me. I
It
was
is an
bummed that
interesting hook, right?
Emily, yeah, because like I don't gravitate towards the cozier stuff to tell you the truth. Like I love a good little moment, like seasoning, but like seasoning, if I just eat it by itself, I don't like it anymore. I don't want the pot of star anise in my mouth. No, thank you. It should be in the sauce a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, but I was bummed that Emily was not part of this mega cast when we weren't sure. We knew there were more people, but not who they were. I was hoping for Emily. I was hoping for Lou. I would have put money on Lou. He would have been my bet, really, after Robbie.
Yeah. Vic Michaelis is there. Jacob Wysocki's back, and I like Jacob Wysocki in that 80s thing they did. Thimble's
I
the
do
only
like
one who
the image of
fails. Hmm?
I like the image of the knight like yanking the leash, like lifting up the basilisk. Like this is because he when it died, he was sad.
Yeah.
Spoiler. So this is like his pet thing, but at the same time, he's that guy who has mean dogs who's shitty to them. He like chokes it
Yeah.
out. The thing is like, "Ah," but also recharged every time. He got two d6 rolls to recharge and hit them both
Yep.
on the table.
Well, and in the first one, Thimble passes her second con save.
Hmm.
And Brennan, I know he goes, "That's good TV," and you stole that from me, Brennan Lee Mulligan. That's my thing. Ryan here can confirm. I've been saying that. I've been saying that since I've known him. You owe me some money, Brennan. And so now we find out there's a few guards, the basilisk, and a high CR knight called Sir Saramai. Um, then Sam debuts a much larger, I wrote down Flash Gordon goblet,
Ooh, yeah, I just
and
have chalice reveal.
he talks about Dark Horse wine, which I don't know what that is. I didn't watch the commercial or the Void announcements. So
I presumed that it was part of that it was the commercial, it was the bit from the commercial, the Playhouse introduction. But like, what a unique advertising space. And I'm not one who's like, you know what would look good there? A billboard, right? I'm not a big fan of commercials, but the idea that they got their logo on the bottom of that, the cup gag was a commercial is like, I don't know, kind of a little mind blowing. Um, and later on, they had like a hand thing. I almost want to go back and watch the Playhouse because they had a dice roller that was a hand. I don't know if that was what was it meant for.
So what it looked like is the wine comes with Sam had a little canvas wine cozy,
Hmm.
and it had a wine stopper, and it looked like there's a D20 built into the top of the wine stopper. That's what I think it was.
Mm.
Because
Okay.
after he uncorked it, he poured himself a glass, then he put the wine stopper in, and then he was messing with the top of it, and then he rolled the D20. So I'm pretty sure it's like maybe magnetized metal D20. I don't know how it works.
I might have to get some of this wine. Um, so yeah, everybody gets to help themselves on saves that next round, which makes me sad.
Yeah.
I did like the fact that the layout of this space made the fight difficult. If you're looking, Brennan did a lot of interesting stuff to make this, again, 4 hour combat, tense and interesting for the whole time. And I think part of it was the bottleneck. We know there's something else going on over there. There's some mystery. There's a time element, but all we got to get through these guys to get over there. We don't have tactical infinity to do everything we want in. There's limits and constraints to how we can approach this thing, and it's frustrating. We can't get through because you can't move through an enemy space. If an enemy's controlling a space, unless you get them out of that space or kill them, you're stuck. So if you got two enemies in a 5-foot hallway, you got to deal with them before anything else happens. Unless you're a tiny fairy, but even then presents some complications, attacks of opportunity.
Then Cadigan had a turn. He was charmed, attacks the basilisk and misses. And it's right here I'm realizing, his club thingy is cool. I forgot the cool name for it. His club thingy is cool. The Addle, right. But being a short range ranger, it's an odd mechanical choice. Because D&D takes the word ranger literally, like that's their specialty, right? Attacking from range. So he said before in something that the trade-off for having a weapon that was could do two different types of damage was that the range had to be shortened to like 20-40. And I don't know, a ranger without a longbow is like
It's a choice, and I am all for evocative character choices, especially if it's not just a backdoor way to be OP. That being said, there's a whole conversation here about how switching weapons is free. You can do it once every turn. It doesn't matter. As part of an attack, you can unsheath the weapon. You can throw a dart, pull a sword out, all in the same turn. There's no free action. It doesn't take anything the way it does in some other systems. So he could have a longbow and an axe thrower, a spear chucker, addle, and a club, and mechanically not be penalized for all of those choices. So the fact that he does, I don't know. I really like the way Robbie plays because he seems to be a fan of the game and a fan of the show, and especially of Laura Bailey, which, same. I'm part of that fan club. Let's go. He just seems happy to be there, man.
So Tyranny still disguised self as Octus, although it's fooling no one. Eldritch Blast the Basilisk, and here I note she does not have Agonizing Blast. Agonizing Blast to add her charisma mod to Eldritch Blast. Somebody please tell her. Brennan should let her respec. Of course he will. Why wouldn't he? Brennan should allow her to respec and add Agonizing Blast to her guiding bolts again. Wick casts Earthen Grasp, which we find out has been flavored as Halavar's Luminous Lash. To turn the basilisk around. Wick fails an Arcana check.
I love that it's maybe his favorite spell, the player. But two, I love the fact that he not only reflavors spells to suit the character, but also, perhaps ironically, follows the formula. He is following the old ways of magic, where there is a way that a customized D&D spell should sound. Melf's Acid Arrow, right? Leomin's Tiny Hut. So as someone who supposedly isn't taking things very seriously, he is following the spirit and the grammar of the game.
Got a cadence to it. Another basilisk blast. Cadigan Tyranny fail. Thimble gets in a sneak attack on the basilisk, as A.M. Rosa here's noted. Thimble would have quite a few great hits during this combat to come. Then, I just lost my place. Where was I? Sneak attack. She kills the basilisk, and it turns to stone. Then she takes a big hit. Cadigan makes his con save. He attacks, misses again. Cadigan and Teor both had some pretty crappy luck during this combat. Dex Goddess. Yeah, they had some pretty bad luck. There's the thing about low-level D&D is a lot of times you miss, but it comes back around pretty fast. They went through quite a lot of turns in a 4-hour combat.
I want to like 6 or 7, I think, at bats. I mean, I could count everything that's in front of me. But yeah,
Um,
it moved. I think a lot of people heard me say 4 hour combat. I'm like, I'm not. That's not something I want to see. Um,
the guard Carl, who looked at the basilisk, turned to stone.
hmm.
Poor Carl.
I don't like the new way the basilisk works. I just actually had somebody. So I have an adventure on the DM's Guild, and it's a level 1 adventure, and the final thing is a basilisk, which is definitely mean. And I say so before you buy it, that it is a tough one. But someone wrote to me and asked, should I use the 2014 version or the 2024 version? And the 2014 version is passive. Like if you see a basilisk and it sees you, you are making a save. And it creates all of these, which Travis brings up at a certain point. It's like, are there ways that we could, like, it makes the combat into a puzzle. Can I use a mirror? Can I close my eyes? Can I take disadvantage and not look at the thing? In 2024, it's essentially like a breath weapon. It has a recharge. It's a 30-foot cone. It gives the dungeon master more control and nuance, and it makes that I like a recharge ability. It adds a lot of drama to it, but it actually doesn't say in the stats that you have to be looking at the thing. If you're in the 30-foot cone, you're affected. So those guards that are looking the other way, it's behind them, are making their saves, and Carl doesn't. So narratively, Brendan has him turn and look behind him. But in the rules of 2024, basilisks are objectively worse.
Mm. Yeah, that's I don't like that as much. When they first were just realized it was a basilisk, I was thinking about when they were saying something about, closing the eyes. I was thinking about that, and I thought, maybe if they kept their eyes closed for the whole round,
Mhm.
which would mean disadvantage on anything you try to do. And maybe even if you do something with a save, it would give the enemy advantage. If you're trying to cast Sacred Flame, I'd probably give the enemy advantage on their dex save,
Mhm.
since they're like,
Mhm.
guy with the eyes closed is trying to shoot me, and I'm over here jumping around. You're not going to get me. Um, so after that, Tyranny passes her petrification save. Teor rushes into the room. He's about to throw the last egg. But he doesn't follow the instructions, so the egg does not go off, and it just goes droop and goes around the room and comes back to him. Which it has to be thrown at the feet, and so he decides not to do that.
Such a great way to resolve that. Instead of just like above table being like, oh, that's not how it works. You got to throw it down, to have it like play out in the story. No, you threw the thing and it and it ping ponged around the whole room and came back to you because it's this weird magical item that has its own set of rules that was built by some gnome who kind of forgets what it does. But you get your action. You still have your turn. You can still do a thing. But that didn't happen.
So then on Wick's move, he levels up here, and I don't know if we discussed this the last time when we talked about the cooldown, is that everyone leveled up to 4, but they could actually do the actual physical mechanical level up at a point where they felt was narratively appropriate. Wick is the first one to do this because he is very low on hit points. So he decides to take a feat, and I was shouting at the screen again because he's like, or should I just increase my con? And I'm like, no. I'm yelling at him what to do. Like, he has odd dex and odd con. Increase both of those by 1. It'll increase your armor class and your hit points. That's the move. But I think ultimately he decided to take the tough feat instead. And he gave us some parable about a woman named Beatrix burning alive her non-believer family.
He gave us Caleb's backstory, which is fresh in my mind because if you're watching Mighty Nine, oh boy, did they
Right.
do that good.
Yeah.
Ooh. Um, it felt like an homage to Caleb, who, Sam is besties with
Yeah.
Liam. They canonically they're building their characters together before the campaigns. So that was interesting. And Sam is like deeply involved in the production of the Amazon series. So I don't know if I'm reading tea leaves that are not there, but it seemed like some acolyte burning her own parents alive because she was taught to, and Sam having this realization that it's bullshit, and I'm gonna burn your house down, Grandma. Like that was a
Yeah,
good beat for him.
that was the point of the parable, was that Wick is ever increasingly disillusioned with his family and looking back on the lessons that they taught him, seeing that there was a lot of crap in there. Another thud comes deep within the cavern, more ambiguous, menacing dialogue from off screen. Thimble, now everyone remembers that they can level up, and so Thimble levels up on her turn, and she takes the durable feat, which gives you probably con proficiency, and I don't know what else. Probably +1 to con and con proficiency.
It gives you hit points, it gives you con proficiency, and it gives you the ability to roll hit dice in combat, which is huge. Because I
Right.
think I see a lot of tables, one, maybe never take short rests, or two, almost never use hit die. There's ways to correct for that. Your mileage may vary, but hit die are an underutilized thing, and the new durable allows you to burn one as a bonus action on your turn, so you can heal yourself, which is great.
Especially now that in 2024 you have double the hit dice, double your pleasure. Hit dice have always been a pain in the butt. You getting half back on a long rest. You can never remember if you accurately wrote down last time how many you spent. It's and D&D Beyond is the hit dice thing has never ever worked. And all my years of using D&D Beyond, the hit dice calculations don't work. It does not accurately track half your. Does not accurately spend what you spend doesn't come back half. It's not smart enough for that.
No, and you round down. It's I do. That's one thing. I'm not about making characters more durable because they're already invincible, but that cleans up a lot of bookkeeping. It's just like, yep, you get your hit dice back. You're not getting 3 out of 7, whatever. Like,
Yeah, get
can
them
I
all
keep my
back.
extra one? Can I carry them over if I'm already full? Like, you just get them back at the end of the long rest. Fine, good.
Well, and it's good that they give you more ways to spend them, right? Since
Mhm.
the game was balanced fine with you getting half back. So getting double back, does it really unbalance the game? Probably not, but it's good that you can have more ways to spend them other than just them being wasted. Well, so Thimble now is bloodied after she takes the durable feat. She's still bloodied, so she does desperate measures, and we also gives advantage on death saves. I believe Mirage took it because she instantly used that homebrew mechanic as well. Ah, that's interesting. Yeah, so
Advantage on death saves is very interesting. Is very interesting.
we find out what at least one of the facets of desperate measures. I think there's several things you can do with it, but once bloodied, one thing you can do is in exchange for marking one death save that you would be applied if and when you go down. You can dash for free or get a +5 to a d20 test. There's maybe one or two other things in there you could get advantage on a save or something. If you mark 2 death saves, you could do max damage on a roll.
Mm.
And if you mark 3 death saves, you get you're basically hasted. You get a free extra action, or you can regain a spell slot up to level 5.
Which is huge. Which is a last stand. Because 3 death saves. That's all you got.
Yeah. So Thimble crits, and then she chooses max damage, which ends up with sneak attack doing quite a lot of damage. Now we learn the knight's CR8, and he's now bloodied. But if Thimble goes down, she's going to have 2 failed death saves.
Hmm.
And Teor is dropped to 1 HP.
I like this. I think we'll see tables do this. Death saves are another thing that could be more gamified and gambled with, and I think a lot of people sitting around their tables are going to have a hard time convincing players to gamble with death saves. But now the Critical Role is doing it, and there's a system in place, maybe at least contributed to, if not written whole cloth by the original creators of D&D 5e. I think a lot of people are going to adopt this, and I dig it. I really dig it. I think this is a very cool thing. I like risk reward mechanics. I like upping the drama, making things count. I mean, they make several jokes throughout. Brennan says he's going to bring a gun because this has got to mean something at some point in this
He's like,
episode.
next time I'm going to shoot you.
um, But also,
Yeah, I
Thimble is
love.
terrifying is said in this moment too, which is people sleep on rogues. I've been saying it for almost a decade now. Like in all the rankings on Reddit of classes, subclasses, like rogues perform very badly, and people are playing a different game than I play if a rogue is not a good character to have.
Well, they're pure damage, and then they're also kind of good at everything else. So rogues are amazing. Um, I love these things. I love anything that is push your luck related.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it was in a third party supplement, but there was like a gambler subclass for fighter or something. I think we talked about it on Casual Friday a couple months ago. It was in that like Vlada's Spire of something. It was like a fun supplement that had like the magic barbarian who cast
Mm-hmm.
punch. I
Mm-hmm.
think it was in that same one where there was like a gambler based subclass where it was you could push your luck to do things, or you could try to cheat and say that you got a crit when you didn't, and if people believed you, then you got an extra crit or something like that.
Well,
And I thought about why couldn't you have an entire class based around the idea of gambling or pushing your luck? Like what to me that
hmm.
would be like a good talent or a psychic class, that it was like everything was based around betting. Everything, instead of really rolling, you're betting on whether the DM is going to roll high or low. You're betting on whether the monster is going to roll high or low. You're betting on whether the other players roll high or low. And so it's like the game to you is playing the stock market, and that's how you use your abilities, is by making predictions, and then becoming accurate gives you points to do the things you want. Or if you make wrong predictions, you take damage. And I was just kind of thinking about this as I drifted off to sleep the other night. This is TM, not half baked, fully half baked idea. I thought, I don't know, it could work. A gambling based class.
I would play it. I gotta say, I think it's maybe a rogue. I mean, I could see making like a divination-y kind of wizard sort of vibe with it. A fighter. I mean, the right kind of fighter makes sense, but like a gambler subclass feels like it slots under the rogue heading pretty easily for me. Um, Also, maybe they throw cards. Wait, that's just Gambit. Okay, sorry. Uh,
Cards will be from stock draws to
um,
features.
so we all know that we probably don't even need the six abilities that we have. But if we were to add an ability to D&D, it would be luck. And other games
Mm,
have. Dungeon Crawl Classics is maybe my favorite example of it. You have a luck thing, so when the player asks, "Can I do some random shit?" and it doesn't really slot into any other ability, you can say roll luck. You can also burn that luck. You can use that You can burn off that ability in order to add to rolls, making you progressively less and less lucky as you use your luck. You have less of it to go around. Um, so that's a very cool mechanic too. So like if eventually we get rid of strength and con being two different things, or wisdom and intelligence being different things, come at me nerds in the comments, let's fight about it. The replacement should be luck. I think luck should be one of the stats.
I think the way this works is the character instantly dying. We're taking the third option. I would assume if you have 3 death saves, that means
Hmm.
when you get to 0 HP, you are gone. You're just
Now,
gone.
skipping ahead to the end of this episode, which is not the end of the session, it seems, but at the end of the episode, like on like the wind down from initiative, Brennan tells everyone who has spent a death save that those death stays stay spent. I don't know if they clear at the end of a long rest, but it wasn't bracketed by this combat, this initiative.
Mm.
The fight ends, they are still down the death saves that they used. Don't know when it comes back around, or if it comes back around. Um,
Um, I would assume maybe you sleep off one at a time. Yeah, don't pay any attention to that. So moving on. Wolfric growls and is able to deafen and frighten most of the guards, which is pretty clutch.
we
The
kind of had
knight.
this intuition that Wolfric might be cooler than Callaghan, just based on the art. He definitely was in this fight.
Um, yeah, so the knight is now looking to flee, that he's bloodied. Tyranny cast mirror image. Taylor misses on the guard. Poor Taylor's having a rough day. He finds some kind of paper with an arcane glyph and gets a handout, but we don't get to find out what that is. That's just put away.
Was that a scroll? Was that story? He said like arcane markings. Was that like the Takona's secret plan? Was that like I don't know. I'm curious to see what's on that paper because Brendan pulls out a piece of tea stained parchment and hands it across the table. And they don't have a chance to read it in this fight, but surely something good must come of it. And there were a couple jokes actually of like we didn't look at all these barrels over here or the boxes over there. Like there's got to be something cool in this thing. And Brendan kind of smiles. And apparently there was. There was a quantum piece of paper that Taylor finally disturbed.
Yeah, then after that, there's another boom deeper in the cavern, and then Brennan finally reveals the full map. We see there's a cart, and there, someone, or maybe not currently, but there are petrified people. There are big stone statues being loaded onto it.
Right,
Um, and so now we know what the big booms are the big statues being loaded on. I assume, I don't know if they specifically confirmed that, but had to be what it is, right? Somebody throwing a 200-pound statue up on the cart.
Yes, and one of those statues was a dog. And I know that we are chasing after and assuming that one of those statues is a beloved character's brother who, against all odds, put his neck on the line to right a wrong and kill not Cadigan, he stole the document and get got by the Taconuses. And that's all well and good, but there's a dog. They got a hound. And now I'm like, ride or die. Now it's like, oh no, these guys, they're definitely the bad guys. Okay, I know one of them has a skull tattooed on over their face, and like that's pretty evil and stuff, but they got a doggy, and now I'm mad about him.
Yeah, you know what I thought when I saw when he first said that that there was a hound among the petrified, as I said, oh, now this gives the Hounds of Timony a reason to be involved, because they specifically said before, we can't take any actions against the Taconis because they haven't broken any laws that we can prove, right?
And there is a question. The Taconis are getting out of town. They are hurriedly loading up this cart with the statues. We don't know exactly why they're turning their victims into stone. Seems like a not great logistical. You don't have to feed them, but they're way heavier. But they're hightailing it out of here, and were before our heroes entered the picture. So, theory, and I don't even know if it holds water, but I like it. They figured out that these dogs that are everywhere are intelligent, and they have no way of knowing which ones are spies for the king and onto their evil schemes, and which ones are just dogs. And that has sent them into a panic.
Yeah, that could be. There's a guy loading onto a guy being loaded onto the cart, I assume, I'm reading my notes now, and I think I misunderstood it when it was live. Guy loading onto cart has bracers that belong to Calwyn Royce, Aranes's younger brother. I think I was thinking that was a guy loading things onto a cart, but no, this is a petrified person wearing bracers.
No, that's I think it was the knight. I'm not 100%. I also had a little confusion in this reveal moment. But I think the Knight of Simone, whatever, the vassal knight, who's basically like a Julian type character. He's not a Taconis the way Matt Mercer's character is not a Royce. He's a vassal house underneath that. So this vassal knight, I believe, is the guy wearing these fey-coated belts of giant strength on his wrists, single-handedly moving the statue, telling the others. There's a captain in the room too. It might have been him, but Thimble realizes on a nat 20 that she recognizes these magic items. They have been stolen from the. I don't know if it's a brother of the Royces. I don't know if it's the heir apparent or whatever. We don't know anything about this guy other than that he probably got killed in that incident in the past that we've heard about several times, but don't really understand what it's about. Or maybe somewhere else, but the Royce fellow probably did not give them up willingly to this Taconis soldier.
Right. Over the next couple of turns, they down the guards, and then everyone focuses fire on the knight. And when Wick gets within range of the knight recognizes him. We don't really get any conclusion to that, I don't think. Thimble is a swashbuckler rogue, which is one of my favorite subclasses because when she's one-on-one with an opponent and there's no allies or enemies within 5 feet, you get advantage, which is awesome. It's like the one-on-one fencing idea. That is that's a good example of the narrative and the mechanics making sense together.
And risk reward. You're
Yeah.
solo somebody.
Yeah.
And she soloed everybody.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. So the creepy knight says some things to Wick and advances on him. Now is when Wick finally decides to choose his feet after he leveled up like 2 hours ago. Wick goes down. Cadigan to spare the dying, which was dumb because the next turn he cure wounds him anyway. So he just kind of wasted a turn to spare the dying, which I have such mixed feelings about spare the dying because sure, you prevent them from dying, but you also prevent that nat 20 that prevents them, that would have them pop back up with 1 HP, you know?
And it's a medicine check. It's a DC 10 medicine check to stabilize somebody, which is also something I find contentious. I don't like that either. But spare the dying is almost always a waste of a turn. It's slightly. It makes more sense now from a game perspective, but I like it worse in 2024 now that there is a range. And they have this conversation at the table because Brent's like, "Oh, that's a touch spell," and he's like, "No, it's got a range of 15 feet." So they clearly understood because nothing has a range of 15 feet. Clearly, they understood you really should get up there and touch, but it's underutilized because it's bad. So now they've made it short range. I mean, I could be wrong, but nothing comes to mind. It's increments of 20, 30. So still bad. Don't like it. Kill somebody.
The only good use case for Spare the Dying, I think, is for healing an NPC who doesn't get death saves. If you have an important NPC who goes down, I could see you, if it's a very important NPC, someone beloved or someone who's plot important, and then it could be worth a turn. Because, NPCs die when the DM decides that they die. They don't get death saves.
Yes. Also, occasionally, I accidentally killed the guy we were trying to interrogate. And I don't have Speak with Dead prepared
That
today.
also happens.
That's also a use case.
Sometimes you go overboard.
There's something so badass about this knight who's clearly, Shadowfell underworld coded in that whole realm, being like, all right, you know what? We're both dying down here. And then in the underworld, we'll really have the fight. That is like, not just like, I'll see you in hell. Tough. Badass. We're both going to hell immediately so I can take my time beating you up.
Yeah,
It's
that was
just
intense.
a couple levels above. So good.
100%. Then on Tyranny's turn, she said she picks up a severed ear from the ground and eats it. I wrote "as one does" in my notes. Teor takes a desperate measure to get 1 death save for a reroll, and then he still misses. Poor guy. Poor guy. Then Thimble finally kills the knight, as Thimble has killed most of the people in this room. Cadigan
There's a
makes
point where
melee...
it's like they take score and it's like Thimble killed 3, The basilisk killed Carl. That's it.
Robbie stands up and breaks a chair IRL is what I wrote that down. I don't know why. Cadigan cure wounds on Wick. Talk about that for a second. I gotta upload a picture real quick. Hold on.
Sure. Here's the problem with D&D. Here's a problem with D&D 5e 5.5 that Desperate Measures kind of addresses. I don't know if it fixes outright because I've never used it in practice because it's brand new to me. I only learned about it the other day through Critical Role. But yo-yo healing. It actually doesn't make sense to heal somebody until they're dead. And it doesn't make sense to do much else other than to bring them back because of the action economy and because death saves aren't static. Other games, Pathfinder 2e comes to mind, addresses this issue. 5.5 does not, which is why one of a couple reasons why I wouldn't let people help themselves on a do or die saving throw.
Yeah, because Cadigan casts Cure Wounds on Wick, brings him back for 8 hit points, and then immediately in the following turn, a guard attack Wicks for 8 hit points, sends him back down.
And hey, Dungeon Masters, one way to address that thing that I was just talking about that I almost never do because it feels really bad is hitting a downed PC. The double tap that's the way, spoilers, that's the way Molly got. And that's pretty much the only way you're going to really end a character's career on purpose. Maybe your math is bad and you got a TPK on your hands, but you take damage when you're at 0. That's 2 fails right there. Brennan does it here, but telegraphs it, which I think makes it way more palatable to do as a human with empathy, and also as like a game master, like a player, where it's like, oh, we had 3 actions to stop that guy from stabbing our buddy. If he stabs our buddy, it's our fault now. That's interesting.
So the battle's over, but Wick is still down, and he needs to make one last death save. This was very triggering for me because it reminded me of just a couple years ago in a campaign. I was playing a monk, and we were in a boss battle, and I got downed, and I had 2 failed death saves, and all of my teammates defeated the PPEG. Battle was over. The DM still made me roll the next death save, and I died. And I've never forgiven him. No, I'm just kidding.
I would do the same. I would
Make me do the death
someone's
save.
sitting there bleeding out. We're still in initiative.
Yeah. Well, I was upset about it for like a day, and then I made my backup character, and I was like, this backup character's awesome. Who cares about the monk who? I don't barely remember that guy. As one does. The party even went to lengths to resurrect that character, and I was like, you don't need to do that.
Save your diamonds.
My backup character's pretty great. You can let him just go off into the ether. That's all right.
Hey, here's another. I don't know why it's homebrew day. Cool. There's Nimble on the shelf. Thank you, Twin Steel. I got a Christmas present of Nimble, which is dope. If you haven't touched it or played it, look at Nimble. It's dope. There's a Kickstarter coming up to make more because they've run out because everybody likes it. Another thing about death saves that Mothership does this well, but one problem with death saves in that scenario that you just described, like the other people at the table shouldn't know how your pass fail. I shouldn't know if in a combat situation my buddy's bleeding out. I don't know if I've got 5 rounds or 1 round to get to them. It's very difficult logistically at a table to like, all right, roll it in the cup. Don't tell your bud. It's like, what? I've tried it. It gets lost in the sauce. It's very difficult to pull off. But if you can, it's way better. The Dungeon Master making the death save? Nope, that doesn't feel good to me. But the idea that I know that you have 2 left, so I don't have to cure you now. I can go after the BBEG instead. Does sap some of the juice out of the whole experience for me.
Well, what Mothership is smart because it's just one die. It's just one roll. So you lift the cup and there's your answer. Whereas that, I don't know how you pull that off with 3 death saves that you get in 5e. Maybe you have 3 d20s in a cup and you just lift them all at once. But it's easier with Mothership because you just have that one d10, and if it's a 6 through a 0, you're okay. If it's a 1 through a 5, you're done, and you don't find out. Oh, Mothership's so good. It gives me like goosebumps thinking about it. Having that cup right in front of me at the table. Ooh. Well, let me recap the end of the episode real quick. So after the battle's over, Wick gets a nat 20 on his death save, pops back up, he sucks the cart fire back into his hand, and then we find out that Sid, the second of their 2 objectives coming up north, Sid is here, and he's been turned into a statue. So now I guess we gotta unstatue Sid is the next goal.
And there was a conversation, I believe it might have been in the cooldown, it might have been the end of the last episode of 9, where they're like, okay, we're soldiers, like, I think it was Travis. Like, Travis knows how to deal with basilisks and their consequences in a D&D context, but does Taylor know? And that virtuous metagaming is not the word for it exactly in that case, but like the idea that you can be non-biased is a bias, right? There's no such thing. So addressing it directly. So I don't remember where that landed or if they rolled for it or what. And I did notice that Brennan had the basilisk turn to stone when it died, and made a comment about like, oh, there's not a lot of blood in there. And actually, off the top of my head, I'm not sure if it's in the 2024 Monster Manual, but like, basilisk blood cures basilisk paralysis. In 2014, at least. As do other magic things that they probably have access to now at level 4, a level 4 cleric, I think. No, maybe not. No, you need greater. You need greater restoration.
Lesser's not going to do it.
Lesser's not going to do it, so they might. I don't know. I'm interested to see what happens next, which is kind of the idea. That's great TV. The man knows how to hit a cliffhanger. Yeah.
I like this Twid Steel here, a bag with 5 d20s in them. That's interesting because then you pull out all 5 and you just go with 3 of a kind. 3 if you have, because you're gonna have 3 passes or 3 failures among 5 dice, right?
Yeah, you have 5. It's out of 5. And maybe you could take a page out of Nimble and read them left to right, right? Maybe you roll 5, you cover it up, and at the moment of revelation, when the combat is over or you are healed, you lift the cup and read them oriented by the way they are physically on the table, left to right, top to bottom. Because if it's a 1 and then a 3 and then a 20, you're dead. Yeah. But if the 20 came first, you're alive. That's an interesting amalgamation of different solves. But you need like physical space. Very hard to do on a online game, per se.
Yeah. 100%. Left to right, baby. Yep.
Left to right. I'm sure other games have done that, but Nimble is the one that I have the most experience with that does that, like where the die falls. Other than like, those like map making scenarios where like, all right, D4s are points of interest, and you just throw 100 dice on the table, and then it's like, okay, this is the river, this is the road. It's never worked out in a satisfactory way for me, let's say. I did really love the Sam or whatever Wick continuing to think of Thimble as a little girl because she's a tiny thing, even though she's older than him. And the moment where like she lands on him and is like, and then he comes back with wings and he's like, "We're the same." And she's like, "I'm done. I hate you, man. You're the worst." But yeah, I'm interested. I'm happy that the next episode is Soldiers because I want to see it. I want to see what happens next.
Yeah, I love these guys. These guys are great. This is some of the best actual play I've ever seen. I'm really, really enjoying it. I waited to watch this episode 10 until this week because I knew we weren't going to do this until it was hard to wait 2 weeks to watch this episode.
Hmm.
But
I had a similar experience. I watched the first half before the holiday travels kicked in, and then I started watching it a couple days ago from where I stopped, and was just like, this is not fresh in my mind. A lot has happened in the past
yeah.
couple weeks in real life. I need to start over and write stuff down again.
When did they get to the other tables? That's exactly what we want to know, Twin Steel. That's what we is asking ourselves. We don't
It's a
know.
good question. It's a good question, and I'm very curious, and I am in no rush. I do think in the fade out you hear like somebody being like, "Screw those other tables. This always." Like, and I was like, "Yeah, it's that. This always."
Yeah, we
Um,
didn't get a, cooldown after this episode, so we didn't get any banter, any behind the scenes action related to this.
and I believe it's because they didn't stop playing. Like he didn't say, "Is it Thursday?" They didn't wind down the episode. Like
Oh, they didn't do an Is It Thursday? I didn't notice
no,
that.
no, they faded out. They did the title screen. You heard them like yelling, right? Like table talk, not like game talk. And then cut to Brennan like, "Hey gang, we'll see you." Like whatever.
Huh? Do you think they're gonna have to fight their way out of the?
I don't know. I don't know. If I was okay, so if I'm at this table and I'm thinking between sessions or whatever in the session, I I know there's a very powerful healer at that hospital, right? So if I'm looking for
Mm-hmm.
greater restoration and I'm a level 3 or level 4 character, I'm starting to look around for powerful NPCs, and we just saw a healer who's got to respect Wix. There's all sorts of political ramifications to announcing yourself and dealing with her. She's also face to face with the Earl, the Duke, whatever, who's having a conversion experience. So like she's a little busy. We've established that she only has so many spell slots, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
the whatever peasant brings his dad, and she's like, well, he's not that bad, and I can only do this so many times per long rest, so I'm not gonna do this right now. So that's from a player standpoint. I think maybe that's part of what we're gonna do. But we're underneath the castle. I don't know.
Yeah,
Escaping here with statues might be fighting it out.
they're underneath with a castle. We don't know. There's got to be another way out of this place because how'd they get the cart down there? They couldn't have gotten through that tiny bottleneck.
Mm-hmm.
So they're bringing people down into the basement to basilisk them, then load them onto the cart, and so there's got to be a back way out. But we don't know where the tatted, scary face woman is. She turned in, and she went in Vizzy and disappeared. We have no
Mm.
idea where she is, so they could maybe, maybe Brennan had 2 or 3 other maps ready to go, and they're having to fight off an onslaught while they load statues onto a cart and try to make athletics checks to push the cart down a corridor to a back entrance.
And it would be bad if they meet her because she's got her. I don't know, their brother and sister. I think they're cousins to the Taconas. I don't know the family tree here, but she wasn't alone. The last time we saw her, and if Sir Sommelier was a CR8, what is Skullface?
Mm.
She's coming in 10, 12. Like I don't know. And she won't be alone, and she's invisible. So yeah, I think they're in real trouble if they're also like limping out of here. Taylor was at
Hmm.
1 HP, laid on hands. They've got to be very low on resources. They're not they're not in a good place. And I don't know. They're professional enough to not ask to take a long rest down in the dungeon where they just killed all these guys. We'll see.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's about all I had. Other than Mighty Nine's really good. If you haven't seen
Mighty
Mighty Nine
Nine's
on Amazon Prime, it's very good.
99 is really good. Dare I say better? I don't know. I came up.
Better
I got
than
into
Vox
Critical
Machina,
Role.
the cartoon. Yes.
I don't know. Okay, yes, I agree. There's a different tone. Vox Machina embraces the goofy and the grandiose. Mighty Nine somehow is more grounded in both. It's like a tighter band of tone for me.
I kind of feel like the Vox Machina cartoon is more of a straight adaptation of the actual play, in that it's mostly framed through the group's POV as a whole. Whereas Mighty Nine is completely different. They took the overall story and were like, all right, if this was a movie, where would the beats be? And
Yes.
so a lot of the first few episodes feature side characters because they're setting up things that the players at the table didn't learn until years into the campaign, right?
They realized that everybody loves Essek, and
Yeah, there you go.
so we get
That's what it
there's a
is.
lot of and Essek is like the prime mover in some ways to the entirety of the campaign. It's like it's interesting. A lot of the time, there's a BBEG in that role. Like this person is trying to do a thing, and maybe Essek was engineered to be that. But not only
Hmm.
did the fan base, but the player characters fell in love with Essek, and like I don't know. That's literally a different story, but there's a lot of Essek, and I think that's for the best. And they made some interesting changes to the very beginning, particularly with Yasha, which I think is way better because that
Hmm.
didn't quite track. So yeah, watch it if you're a Critical Role fan and you haven't dipped into the Mighty Nine animated series. Woo-hoo, it's good. It's good. And if you
Yeah,
have
they
like
had
a
leeway
significant
with.
other or somebody who's never gonna watch 104-hour episodes of bunch of nerds playing a game, yeah, this is a good inroad too for the new people.
Yeah, Mighty Nine is good. Can't wait for more. Um, Also, here's something random. I finally got around to watching season 3 of The White Lotus. Excellent. It might be the best season. It's very, very good.
Hey everybody, if Walton Goggins is involved in something, watch it. I might get some of those glasses. I think they're hideous, but he made them, so I might get them. Because Walton Goggins is my favorite person.
Can't go wrong with
it's like-
Goggins.
Can't go wrong with Goggins.
Can't go wrong with Goggins. Yeah. We're Gaga for Goggins here on the Crit Talk podcast. I don't have anything else to say about Critical Role. Are we done here?
Yeah, I can't top Gaga
Gaga
for Goggins, man. I think we got to go out on a high note here. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week or the week after, depending. I thought there was a show tonight, but I'm less.
I think it's
well
next. I think
informed.
it's next week.
So yeah, we'll be back to talk about it next time on whatever the show is called, Talking Crit. Bye.